So
Yeah, I'm dealing with
conversations.
a gentleman. We're doing a re-inspect together because he's not to mention names, but State Farmish, and he's very proud of his estimate.
I'm
And there's a
sure.
lot. Oh yeah, and of course that's what you run into, and I'm sure you ran into it all the time, where somebody doesn't want to admit they missed something,
Of
or they have
course.
to go back and pride after the fact that they take responsibility of the roof. We're open up. Here we go. So,
Exactly. Well, and
but
another thing is too, like you'll see this in a couple of the lessons, you'll come across it somewhere. But I always talk about too, like when you're talking about items that they missed, give them an out. Okay. Like, for example, don't just say you missed this because what does that do? That fires up people's egos, right? They want to argue it. Even if they realize they did miss it, they want to give you a reason why they wouldn't pay for it. But instead, if you say something like, I almost overlooked this myself actually, but we didn't realize there was a second layer of shingles on this roof. And I know you guys are super busy, so I'm sure when you're trying to fly through your five, six, seven, 8 claims per day, sometimes this stuff slips through the cracks too. Or you just want to give them outs, or like I think this actually might just be like a typo. I would do that all the time too. I'm like, I think maybe you guys just made a typo and the amount was wrong, and they're like, oh, okay. Like you just, instead of telling someone they're wrong, you just, it's almost like just using a third party type causation approach. Like, oh, it wasn't you, but this over here caused this estimate to end up looking like this because it was, you know what I mean. So,
right, yeah,
or like,
because
or let's
you still want to keep their ego intact with
exactly
and get what you
stroke
want.
that ego. Yeah, just shamelessly get slutty with it. Just let them have their day. If they're happy, they pay. And the same thing, like I remember many examples of siding, like when you want to get that third or fourth side of siding paid for, right? Aluminum. And you're like, there's damage on there. But the adjuster is going to say what? The storm could have only come from one direction, meaning that it could only have hit like two sides. So instead of arguing with them about being wrong about that, instead you say, hey, I actually missed this myself when I first went out there. I think maybe just because the sun just wasn't on it right, or the sun was blinding me from looking at this white aluminum. But the other day I went out and it was glaringly obvious how much damage there was on there. And I've got 8 or 9 pictures of hits I've chalked for you. I'm guessing you probably overlooked this also, just like I did initially. But here it is. We need to add in this third side. Okay, so again, you're not telling them, look what you missed, you stupid blind mouse. Like, instead, you're saying, oh, I missed this too. How funny. Ha ha. That pesky sun. I couldn't see it. Here it is. Thanks for the extra 4 grand. Right?
Right.
So
Well, we don't
always,
have too much aluminum around here, so except for
okay, well,
gutters.
but that's just an easy example, So just learn to have those conversations. Like never approach it as they're wrong or they're dumb or they're trying to cheat you. Always look at it as we're working together here, but we're doing so many darn claims. You can't do everything perfect. We don't do everything perfect either. But let's try to
Yeah,
get as close to perfect as we can.
and I came across that as well on the supplementation part that I was reading, and it's worked to a point. Hey, let's work together. We're just trying to let's make our customer whole again. That's all we're
Right.
trying to do here. I'm trying
Right.
to build it, and you're trying to pay for
Right. That's pretty much it. Exactly. It's like, and that's something to help them understand too. Like, something you can even say is, listen, Mr. Jester, like, I'm guessing that you probably talk to a lot of aggressive, angry, just self-righteous contractors, and they demand the sun, the moon, and the stars from you, and they try to take advantage of you. I understand that because I've dealt with those people myself, unfortunately. We've crossed paths, out in the field with customers. I just want you to know, like, I'm not one of those contractors, and I understand that you have a job to do and you've got a superior, just like I've got a job to do and I have a superior also. So I'm not trying to take advantage of you, and I certainly don't want to put you in a spot where you're going to get reprimanded or penalized for something that your supervisor doesn't want you to do. But I'm just straight shooting with you here. Here's objectively what needs to be a part of this scope so that we can treat our mutual customer correctly and indemnify them wholly. All right. So here are the items I'm asking for. Where are you okay? What can you approve? And then for the other ones, what are some alternatives? Like if you can't add overhead and profit, what can you add? That's where you're going to get people to give you a base service charge, or they'll just give you something super random. Like I had a guy give me a hot tub cover one time for no reason. I'm like, okay. It was like $500.
If they can.
Exactly. They'll do stuff like that. They just want to know that you're like, when you acknowledge that, then you like the confrontation or the static that exists between you two just because you're a roofer and they're an insurance company disappears. It's no longer there, right? So that's how you do it. You just stay cool as a cucumber all the time, and you're their friend, and because guess what? They also, I know that they do. Like I have people in this program now who are in the contracting business now, but prior they were insurance adjusters. I've got a gal named Liz, and I want to say she worked for Liberty Mutual and State Farm. Don't quote me on that. I know Liberty Mutual is one. Anyway, she's like, Becca, I literally would go into work one day and they'd be like, this week is repair week. We're not paying for full replacement this week. Repairs. So it's like these adjusters, yeah, like they just do stuff like that. And I can tell you from experience, like State Farm, this is one specific instance I remember. I was working in Pennsylvania one summer, and for the first few months, it was like April, May, June, they were paying for drip edge and ice and water shield. No problem. Every claim, whether it had it on there or not. And then all of a sudden, July rolls around. Oh, we don't pay for that. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
What? I'm like, I have like 12 claims in my car right now. Like my binder that have you paying ice and water shield drip. Yeah, well, it's just, it's our policy. What? So they just do stuff like that, you know?
I had an adjuster the other day where one file had it and the other one didn't, and he was like, well, turn it in, I'll make sure they get fired. I'm like, okay, that's your battle, not mine, here you go.
Right? It's just like a weird, because I say this all the time, but insurance companies are a business, and businesses are in business to make money. So when you're an insurance company, if you can come up with a decent reason to eliminate paying for certain items, even if it's only a couple $100s at the end of each claim, when you do that across the board, you're saving a lot of money, Yeah,
and you can get the coneheads to do your farm commercials.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what it comes down to. So the adjuster doesn't have sometimes they do, it seems like, but they don't have a personal agenda to say no. But they also are in kind of a weird position sometimes, especially certain insurance companies. They place their desk jockeys in hot water about certain things, and you just have to find out what works with those people,
And yeah, I can agree with you completely on that.